Welcome, I am Couch Coop, and this is my review of the Riftbreaker, a game that came out on Game Pass and Steam and console in places. Take a bit of Helldivers, mix in a bit of They Are Billions, and put in some base building. That is the Riftbreaker. I unwittingly own this developer's previous game. It's called Xenomorph Defense, and it's a split screener and does have quite a lot in common with this visually and some of the gameplay pattern. They gravitate towards this slow projectile setup where bullets come over from the other side of the screen. You do get time to react and get out of the way, and this has got an excellent dash and a really cool system with triggers on your melee attack and ranged weaponry. There's one thing you need to look out for, and we'll get to this in a second. It's not without its bugs on PC, this game, but it keeps defaulting to the crappiest settings. I don't know if it's trying to tell me something about my GTX, but it always turns the ray tracing off. The sweet spot for me was ray tracing medium, running the game on 1080. It does look beautiful. There's some amazing animations and explosions, and I want to quash a lot of fears with people saying, is there much more to this than that prologue? Oh my god, this game's massive, and look at some of these awesome new enemy types they've slung in on the first biome. Its base building and depth is also something I was quite concerned about. With the prologue, you have this very steep curve with opening up things and upgrading stuff, and when it came to the actual campaign of this game, it was like an hour and a half before I was even putting down sentinel towers or getting the rift going. That's the teleport section. Now I wanted to look at the bestiary or beastery and just show you guys there's so much going on with these different monsters. Their attack patterns aren't as varied as I'd like them to be at this stage in the game, but they'll probably introduce some bigger and better stuff. But I wanted to mention there are mini bosses, there's huge hives, they come at you relentlessly.
We should construct more storage buildings.
There is a breach in our walls.
So this is its other angle, as well as it being a cracking twin-stick shooter. Now I say that hand on heart. I review loads of twin sticks, big old lists on them. I'm a huge fan, and I was thinking they might skimp on it a bit, but it's tight, it's great, it's arcadey, and it can keep up with stuff like Next Machina. Shit you not, that's amazing. But back to the base building aspect, there's loads of tactical placement involved. Everything has to be linked up with electricity, and the game really leans on different fuel and energy types. This is what we didn't see much in the prologue. Basically, it holds back a lot of development by introducing a new element, be it cobalt, and you also need to have a massive amount of storage. So that takes up a lot of actual real estate, so there's huge amounts of placement management, and of course you've got to have that defense brain on for when the horde comes in. This is the They Are Billion stuff. It will regularly smash you with huge groups of enemies.
Prepare for an incoming attack.
The research tree is massive with 3 tiers: buildings, mech, and alien research. It's a hell of a lot to take on board, and if you weren't familiar with the prologue, you'd stumble there, because it's like, what do I spend my points on? Where do I invest? Do I get a new sword? That hammer is badass, and yes, I am walking around with a shotgun. It doesn't have things like research points. It's to do with time scale. The big stuff takes half an hour, the crappy little stuff you'll get done in 5 minutes, and during this time, anything could happen to you, i.e. the base could get massively attacked, you might run out of some fuel deposit and have to start rearranging things. It's quite clever with that. I love its dynamic day and night system and lighting. Obviously that ray tracing and those plants, low pushed out shadows look fantastic, and it's quite daunting walking through the forest in the middle of the night trying to look for some dangerous alien that's just pinged up on your map. Enemy variation is actually pretty wicked in the first biome, and we're going to look at some other biomes, but I am a bit conscious of spoiler territory. What you're looking at here is me retreating and laying down a hotkey mine to show up those predator invisible ones so that I can then whack them with my hammer. Yeah, we're looking at some great layered techniques and problem solving when it comes to some of these monsters in the first biome. Different aliens have different resists. You may have to use explosives on rock-based golem material, and of course you've got these metal bad boys that just repel the hammer, so you've got to go in another direction. I love that idea, and finding out those solutions can only be done through attacking these things. So this is some of the footage you may have seen. This is the trailer stuff. They're all stacked up at your walls. This was quite a tense situation because when you die, let's discuss this, you're put back to your headquarters and you will drop any cool or crafted weapon that you made. So there's no huge punishment apart from being moved from that spot in the map and having to recraft that weapon, which isn't too much of a ball ache, but it's fun having punishment. And yeah, they will tear through your base if left unattended. All these turrets need maintaining with ammunition, and they all need to have electricity, obviously. If it goes to night time, your solar panels will lose their efficiency. You have to have backup wind generators. There's a hell of a lot going on here.
Threat neutralized.
This will buy some time until the next attack.
That's not even talking about the wind and storm, rain and fog mechanics, which again will disrupt or buff certain areas of your base. I'm now getting to the sections where I'm using a lot of the water and different biomass generators for alternative power, because a lot of the deposits will run out, and if you lose power, you lose defense, the whole base starts flashing. Everybody knows the deal. Also want to cover how damned intuitive using a controller is on this. This is the best RTS I've ever played on a controller, and I'm big on Halo Wars 2, but this has got so much more construction that it could have easily gone wrong. It's just genius. You hold down a lot of buttons and you drag stuff, and repairing things is really easy. Those different wall struts will individually take damage and you'll be like, oh my god, how am I gonna, but you just hold a button down. Whoa, the meteor. That blew my mind when I first saw that. So it's perfect for console. It's going to be brilliant on the PlayStation 5. You're going to be able to have that ray tracing on full settings, and it's just going to look stunning. I do have what I call screen wave, which is a tiny blurred line that makes its way down the screen. It's kind of like screen tear, but it happens when there's a hell of a lot of assets on screen at one time. That's my only complaint with the visuals. The frame rates are perfect. It judders a bit on quick save, but what doesn't? I'm kind of a bit crazy about looking for new items and exploring the map. You get these like weird totems which can work out to be a rare drop. I found these flags, and when I show you the base you'll see that you can lay down tiling. This becomes super obsessive, and of course you'll notice that my base is completely designed by a dullard. Let's talk about this base and base design. You can see these raised platforms around the perimeters. The deal is shooting through your fence doesn't give you as much damage as just clearing it entirely and getting the shots over, and the explosions of a missile will actually impact the fence and give some damage on the surrounding area, and you can get your melee weapon through it. I unlocked this spear, man. This spear is so badass, and this is a new biome. I'm just going to show you a little bit. You kind of just get slapped down there at night and told to explore around, and you really are creeping through these brilliant shadows in a really unfamiliar planet, and anything's going to pop up out there. You wouldn't have no idea what's going on, and sure enough, arachnophobes, good lord. So here's one of the more unexpected angles of the game for me, is when you've sort of plateaued with your base and you're waiting for something to research, something new, you'll go and look at it and it will say, right, 12 minutes, and you'll be like, crikey, what do I do? Well, the key is to explore the area and find these drops and all this interesting material. They are protected. Look at the brilliance of the amount of stuff. This is what I wanted this game for. And then to have that base building stuff not to be shallow and not to feel like attack on. It's really like Victoria when those bugs come in and you haven't prepared, and you've got to have artillery at the back, machine guns at the front. I'm researching flame defense. There's so much to open up here. And another thing I was concerned about, it might be the same, when I started seeing all that stone golem stuff, I was like, oh no, I want xenomorphs, I want arachnid insect like hordes of Starship Trooper aliens.
Excellent. We should go there as soon as possible.
all in the next biomes, and it gives you a choice of 3. You get to a certain point on your first biome where it says, look, we're going to send you off somewhere, and you get to choose, and you can pull in and out of them. Look at the way that sand's animated. So let's just do the list of influences that I see with this game. You're going to start with the Twinstick control method. It's not as visceral, but it's totally on par with something like The Ascent. Then you've got things like They Are Billions, The Hoarded, You're Trapped on a Base, your timed attack sections, Factorio. That's a huge, awesome influence. Then you've got the Helldivers sort of starship bug slaughtering, quite difficult, gonna get overrun section. And of course that leans back on some genuinely good real-time strategy, base building tactics, placement, putting guns in the right spot, making sure your perimeter's secure. This is an excellent game. My only real main concern was whether or not it could deliver on diversity, and the jury is kind of still out. I do love the biomes, the new ones, but they're not multi-tiered. I was expecting sort of canyons and valleys, cliffs maybe. It's a very much 2D flat map, but I expect that to get more interesting, and for what I've seen from the 10 to 15 hours I've put into it so far is more than enough to keep me happy for ages. I've got so much to do back at my base, let alone exploring these 3 new biomes I've just been given. Co-op campaign, we need a co-op campaign. Come on guys, get that in as an update, maybe at the end of the year or something. You might have it on the roadmap, but this would just work flawlessly. You could both be on the same map and support each other, even trade materials. It would be great, and I think that would be the final stage for a fantastic game like this. Quick look at the volcanic biome, giant snails. Again, no massive change in enemy attack pattern, but look how little of it I've actually explored. Get a Don't Starve vibe as well from that map system. Not huge procedural generation because the assets aren't interchangeably that massively. So, I'm going to leave you alone. I've been Couch Coop. I'll see you down there.